Earth's final warning to the galaxy. The Third Terran War ends the Big Three ego tour. Admiral Zulu stood in the quiet after-action chamber of the Galactic Council's intelligence wing, staring at the same word that had been haunting his species for 3 wars: defeat. Again. The Third Terran War was supposed to be a corrective, a final lesson. The Vorak Empire brought mass. The Zephi Collective brought prediction engines. The Hegemony Coalition brought doctrine and enough metals to plate a moon. And humanity brought stubbornness, improvisation, and an almost insulting ability to learn mid-fight. Zulu rewound the final engagement for the 10th time. The Vorak dread carriers formed a perfect encirclement. Zephi logic nodes synced, generating probability cones so precise they could predict the next 5 minutes of breathing patterns. Hegemony shock fleets locked in with standard suppression geometry. And then the humans did something unprofessional. They didn't panic, they didn't give speeches, they just slipped sideways through the plan like water through a clenched fist. The Zephi simulation core flagged an error that should not exist. Unknown variable, human audacity. Zulu had laughed once, involuntarily, before remembering this was his job and he was supposed to be horrified. But the horror came later, because after the humans won, they did what they always did. They stopped. They pulled enemy survivors out of vacuum like it was a community service project. They patched wounded Vorak soldiers. They even sent the Hegemony Coalition a formal apology for the inconvenience. Zulu had read the apology twice. It ended with, "Sincerely, please stop showing up uninvited." It made no sense. It made too much sense. Mercy didn't fit the galaxy's rulebook. Mercy was what you offered when you were weak or when you were playing politics. Humans offered mercy like it cost them nothing. And that's when Zulu started getting afraid. Because the only people who can afford mercy are the people who don't feel threatened. The galaxy misreads humans the same way every time. The galaxy had categorized humans quickly. It always did. The Vorak Empire called them soft primates with interesting metallurgy. The Zephi Collective classified them as chaotic bipeds with unreliable emotional variables. The Hegemony Coalition labeled them new blood, short history, easy intimidation. 3 wars later, those labels were still being used, because admitting you were wrong is apparently harder than losing a fleet. Zulu, however, had developed an allergy to comforting lies. He pulled up the classified anomalies list. It was getting long. Invisible construction projects, detected by gravitational distortion, but no visual confirmation. Secret star systems, with traffic logs but missing coordinates. Energy signatures resembling background noise until you tried to isolate them and your instruments began to disagree with reality. One report included a Zephi analyst's note: "I have never been gaslit by physics before. I do not like it." Zulu forwarded that to himself, not because it was useful, because it was relatable. Then came the prisoner, captured in the Third War. Human, naval engineering background. Injured, but coherent. Zulu had expected begging, rage, bargaining. Instead, the human looked at him like Zulu was a child insisting the stove wasn't hot. Zulu asked the most obvious question: "Why did you spare our survivors?" The human blinked slowly. "Because you were done." Zulu frowned. "Done?" "Yeah," the prisoner said. "You tried. You lost. It's over. We don't need to make it weird." Zulu had leaned in. "Then why not conquer us? Enslave us? Take our worlds?" The human laughed. Actually laughed, then winced from cracked ribs, and said the sentence that changed Zulu's internal temperature by 10 degrees. "You have never seen us fight a war we started." Zulu had stared. "Are you threatening me?" "No," the human said, calm as a clinic. "I'm educating you." That was the part that kept Zulu awake. Threats were easy. Education meant the other side believed the lesson was inevitable. Zulu left the chamber and walked the long corridor to the council's central dome, where the galaxy's leaders gathered to argue, posture, and pretend they were in control. He arrived just in time to receive the alert: "Earth is broadcasting to everyone. Zulu felt his tendrils tighten. Humans didn't broadcast unless they were about to do something either noble or irreversible. Observe, Earth's president shows up like this is a staff meeting. President Edward Caldwell appeared on every screen in the galaxy. No armored dais, no ceremonial regalia, no intimidation theatrics. Just a human in a plain jacket, standing in an open room with Earth visible behind him through a transparent wall. Blue and alive, like it didn't care about anyone's empire. Zulu noticed something immediately. Caldwell's eyes were tired. Not afraid, not shaky. Tired, like a man who'd been dealing with the same nonsense repeatedly and had finally decided to stop being polite about it. Members of the Galactic Council, Caldwell said, and the powers who pretend they're not listening. That landed like a slap. You attacked us 3 times. Caldwell held up 3 fingers. We responded 3 times. He lowered the hand. You lost 3 times. A pause. And for reasons that confuse you, we then rescued your survivors, returned your wounded, and refused to occupy your home systems. Zulu heard murmurs across his comm feed. Ambassador Chitara, the feline diplomat whose entire job was sarcasm disguised as policy, muttered loud enough for open channel, "Humans, always making it awkward." Caldwell continued, "You interpreted that mercy as hesitation." Another pause. That was incorrect. The broadcast shifted. Footage rolled, clean, high definition, impossible to dispute. Massive structures assembling in deep space without visible scaffolding. Fleets moving in formations that didn't throw heat signatures. Materials folding into place like someone was editing reality with a precise cursor. Zulu's secondary heart fluttered. A Vorak warlord in the council chamber actually stood up and yelled, "That violates the 7th tenet of causality." A human subtitle appeared on the feed, helpfully translated into Vorak, "We respectfully disagree." Zulu almost choked. Caldwell's voice returned. "We have capabilities we did not use." Ambassador Chitara scoffed. "Why not use them earlier?" Caldwell looked directly into the camera, and somehow it felt like he looked at her. "Because," he said, "we were not trying to erase you. We were trying to stop you." Then he delivered the line that turned the galaxy's spine into glass. "This is Earth's final warning. Any future aggression against Earth or her colonies will be met with absolute destruction." The room erupted with protests. Caldwell raised one hand. The sound died down, not because they were obedient, because they were startled by their own fear. "To remove doubt," Caldwell continued, "we will provide a demonstration in 72 hours. Zulu's mind raced. Demonstration of what? A weapon? A fleet? Some psychological play? Caldwell's expression didn't change. "We will show you what we can do without restraint." The broadcast ended. No anthem, no threats, beyond the one. Just a hard boundary. Zulu exhaled slowly. Humans weren't negotiating. They were informing the galaxy that the era of testing Earth was over. Orient. The council does what councils do, talk themselves into stupidity. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. That meant 3 things. The Vorak Empire demanded immediate military action. The Zephi Collective demanded more data. The Hegemony Coalition demanded everyone respect their historical precedent, which was code for "we have no plan." Ambassador Chitara took the floor, tail flicking. "This is a bluff. If humans possessed annihilation-class technologies, they would have used them during the Second War." Prime Mind Zerg responded in layered harmony. "Incorrect assumption. Humans demonstrate a pattern. Self-limiting behavior based on internal ethical constraints." General Zork, a hegemony strategist with a voice like a steel gate, snarled, "Ethics do not stop war." Zulu found himself speaking before he meant to. "Ethics didn't stop the war," he said. "They stopped the aftermath." Every head turned. Zulu continued, measured. "We have repeatedly observed humans win and then choose mercy at scale. That is not weakness. That is control." A Vorak commander laughed. "Control? They are emotional chaos primates." Zulu's tendrils stiffened. Then why do they keep defeating your fleets? The chamber went quiet again. Zephi analysts displayed contradictory reports, impossible constructions, missing star coordinates, anomalous gravitational footprints. The more they tried to rationalize, the more the data refused to behave. A Zephi delegate whispered, audible on open mic, "I hate it when the math starts screaming." General Zork slammed his fist. "We will observe the demonstration." Chitara rolled her eyes. "And if it's real?" Zork's jaw tightened. "Then we will adapt." Zulu thought, "No, you will submit. There's a difference." The vote passed. Observers would attend the demonstration, including representatives from the Big Three, neutral systems, and, quietly, Zulu himself. As he left the chamber, his comm buzzed with an incoming message. From a human source, short, casual. Bring snacks, long show, A. Parks. Zulu stared at the text. Even now, they sounded like they were hosting a seminar. That was the most disturbing part. Decide. The demonstration site, a dead system that isn't dead anymore. 72 hours later, the observer fleet arrived at the coordinates Earth provided. The system was listed in ancient star charts as a corpse, a collapsed star, debris fields, cracked worlds. But it wasn't a corpse anymore. It was renovated. The star glowed steady, like someone had reset the furnace and cleaned the chimney. Planets hung in perfect orbits. Atmospheres shimmered as if calibrated. Zulu heard a Vorak officer whisper, "This is blasphemy." A Zephi analyst corrected, "This is engineering." A hegemony captain muttered, "This is illegal." Zulu didn't know who they thought would enforce illegal anymore. The UES Prometheus drifted into view, sleek, quiet, arrogant in its simplicity. A transmission came through. Captain Alicia Parks appeared on screen, calm as a person explaining a printer jam. "Welcome," she said. "You are observing a live construction cycle." Ambassador Chitara leaned into her mic. "Construction? You rebuilt a star system for a demonstration?" Alicia nodded. "Yes." Chitara blinked. "Why?" Alicia's mouth twitched. "Because if we did it in an inhabited system, you'd call it a war crime. And frankly, we're trying to have a peaceful day." Zulu caught movement behind Alicia. A tall human in a black utility jacket crossed the frame, looked at the camera, and said, "Do not touch anything." Then he walked off. Chitara hissed, "Who was that?" Alicia replied, "Dame. He's retired. He still gives orders like he's not." Another human leaned into frame, Daniel, eyes sharp, posture relaxed, in that way only dangerous people can afford. Daniel waved. "If anyone tries something stupid, I'd appreciate you doing it on your own time." Chitara's ears flattened. "Are you threatening us?" Daniel smiled politely. "No, I'm scheduling you." Then Lila popped into frame holding a mug. "You guys want a tour?" she asked brightly. "We've got a cafeteria, and yes, it has coffee. No, it doesn't count as a weapon. We checked." Zulu stared. Their tone was wrong for what this was. They weren't posturing. They weren't angry. They were done. Alicia continued. "The Prometheus uses quantum restructuring tools for large-scale engineering." A small launch port opened. Alicia lifted a finger. "Observe." A tiny projectile fired. It wasn't a missile. It didn't glow. It didn't roar. It looked like a mistake. It hit the star. Reality folded. Sensors screamed. The star collapsed inward, not exploding, rewriting. The planets dissolved into streams of light, not burning, unpacking into information. Zulu's legs nearly failed. "Captain Parks," Prime Mind Zerg transmitted, voice strained, "You are converting matter into data." Alicia nodded. "Temporarily." Chitara's voice cracked. "That's not possible." Alicia tilted her head. "You keep saying that." Daniel muttered off-screen. "They said that about fire, too." The system went dark for a moment, then returned. A new star ignited, stable, brighter, cleaner. Planets reassembled, perfect spheres, optimized atmospheres, improved magnetic shields, oceans placed like intentional art. Alicia spoke again, tone unchanged. This is a standard terraforming tool. We temporarily convert matter into information for reconstruction with improvements. Zulu forced the words out. And if this is only a tool, Alicia met the camera. Then you can infer what a weapon would be. A pause. We prefer not to demonstrate that. Dame's voice cut in, dry. Because then we'd have to fill out forms. Lila added, deadpan. And the forms are the real enemy. Zulu found himself laughing once. Quiet, involuntary. It came out wrong. Half terror, half disbelief. The galaxy had spent decades chasing weapons. Humans had built tools that made weapons look primitive, and they were joking about paperwork. A CT, Earth draws the line and the galaxy steps back. The demonstration ended without fanfare, no victory speeches, no demands, just a final transmission from President Caldwell. You have now seen what we withheld. He looked older than before, like the weight of responsibility was a physical object. We did not use this in prior wars because we were not attempting to erase civilizations. A pause. We were attempting to stop aggression. His expression hardened. If you attack again, we will not stop at your fleets. We will end your ability to build them. That line hit every delegate like a recalibration of reality. Within hours, messages flooded Earth. Vorak Empire, proposals for alliance and trade, mutual defense frameworks, and a suspiciously humble apology. Zephi Collective, requests for data exchange and cooperative research. Hegemony Coalition, an emergency proposal for a treaty they would have mocked a week earlier. Earth declined them all, not rudely, not arrogantly, firmly. Humanity asserts its right to peace without interference. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Big Three faced a species that could not be bullied, bought, or baited into empire games. Some civilizations changed quickly because survival is a fantastic teacher. Others began planning in the shadows, convinced they could find a loophole. Zulu knew that type. Ego always thinks it's the exception, but Zulu also knew something else now. Humans weren't dangerous because of their weapons. Humans were dangerous because they could choose restraint and enforce boundaries when restraint failed. Admiral Zulu's reflection, power was never the point. Back in his chamber, Zulu replayed the prisoner's statement one last time. You have never seen us fight a war we started. Zulu finally understood what that meant. It didn't mean humans wanted conquest. It meant they were capable of a level of commitment the galaxy had never survived. And the reason the galaxy still existed was because humans had decided 3 times to fight defensively. Zulu drafted his report to the council. It was short. He wrote, "Stop testing Earth. Stop mistaking mercy for weakness. If you force them to start a war, you will not get a 4th lesson." Then he added privately one final line for himself. Humans are not peaceful because they are harmless. They are peaceful because they are disciplined. And disciplined power is the only thing that keeps monsters polite. End the era after the warning. The galaxy entered a new age. Conflict didn't vanish. Species still schemed, still postured, still struggled against their own nature, but the calculus changed. Aggression now came with a price that couldn't be paid with fleets. And somewhere, in a system that used to be dead, a human ship kept building impossible things, quietly, efficiently, like a carpenter repairing a house in a neighborhood that finally learned to stop throwing rocks. Because the warning wasn't just about destruction, it was about choice, and humanity had made theirs.